what happens when an empowered woman gets quote unquote discarded for a toxic partner. So we get to talk from the secure attachment, differentiated self, functional adult perspective. Empowerment means a person who is self-empowered. Means you know how to be your own safe haven and secure base. So you know how to regulate your nervous system when emotions come up. You know how to go off into the adventure of the world, which is not safe. I mean, we live under the sky, but it's safe enough. So when you have a whole 1-year-old, thanks mom, and a whole 3-year-old, that's where your child parts are yours. And so you don't project any low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive aggressive, or not knowing boundaries, which is a conversation, not canceling. It doesn't matter how old you will have been. If you have maintained what is purusha, pure consciousness, unconditional love, prakriti, pure energy, your whole 3-year-old heart, because those first 3 years of life are implicit. But really it's because you don't feel defective from here. So the people who choose toxic partners, they feel defective. They're not thinking with their left mode. No. Stuff comes up, they don't know how to speak it, and they in fact choose not to, which is why we're having our lovely throat chakra as we approach that lovely April 8th. I'm a 5D mystic, by the way. And unlike 4D, who thinks there are keys to something because they haven't finished Elsa's journey to figure out that they got a 3-year-old too. So, show yourself, I'm dying to meet you. Their whole tragedy, quote unquote, is drama land, which equals hypervigilance, which equals the addiction that people who are not women, men, theys, that are not empowered. So when you are empowered, you are unflappable. So there's nothing that can destabilize here. It's not about outside. Outside can look like, as long as there's no physical threat, an empowered human being will be their emotional master. And you don't need to be, again, a grown-up, even though it helps to have an equanimous mother who informs you to mind your own business and to stop, getting into other people's business. Thanks, mom. So when you have the dominant driver of self-agency, anger is your go-to. I got to be my angry little 3-year-old with all my energy and all that because, I have a twin, for those who regularly tune in, and my mother always was allowing us to play, but also being in the middle of it. Don't use your hands, use your mouth, watch your tone, don't whine, things that are normal in my book, but that I have learned, thank you, attachment and trauma therapists from all of my courses, that not every infant or child, they don't get. Thanks, Patrick Tiahan. He actually makes a valid point. So right here is where today in 2024, we have a lot of information that I don't see women using at all. No, I see codependent women. I see false empowered women talking. So figure I'd give women that are empowered an actual voice. We don't attract abusive people, Patrick Dehan. We grew up without anyone being concerned or aware of our safety. So there's a lot of people, women, men, and theys, that I see, especially when I go watch movies, just the way that the movies go about it. Yeah, they use everything and anything that makes me aware of people who have low self-esteem, and they're literally trying to appease each other. So they don't have self-awareness, they don't have self-reflection, they don't have self-love, they don't have the knowingness of attachment trauma, and they think that those are actually relationships that are built on love. They're built on a different energy. It's called lust and adrenaline and all this. So here's where I got this from an avoidant attachment coach, and I loved when he was pointing out something interesting, because see, some of us, we don't get addicted because we have secure attachment and a differentiated self. So we have our higher social engagement system. That's the prefrontal cortex, always online, not just sometimes. That's because it's bilateral integration. So you have healthy self-worth when you know how to tend to your nervous system, that emotion that comes up, that tone. See, Stephen Porges mentions why the tone is important, because that's exactly what will tell you where a person's at. When a person is a Cusco, they are in their safety behavior mode, which is going to be a maladaptive child behavior mode, which is not to be pathologized. In fact, it can be understood. It's their child parts. We all have them. 0-1-year-old attached, panicky, 3 to 7, shame submissive, freeze of all ages, flight 11, 12, and fight 14, 15, 16. So I, though, grew up to learn how to be loving, accepting, and respectful of my own self and of others, because I shared already a room with my twin. So I got lucky. I got to learn how to play nice with all people, and to know that even if I am not liked or loved, quote unquote, that I have a right to be just the way I am. Thank you, Mom. Okay, so we don't actually get addicted to people. We love freely, and my solo polyamory community knows all about it. And in fact, we are not in competition. We don't have envy, jealousy, spite. We will share our partners, and we have compersion. So this is when you find out, though, that partners go to toxic people. So yes, an empowered woman, we're not going to be what those women who are actually resentful and they stay resentful. And I'm not even going to talk about that energy, because seriously, anytime I see a woman who thinks she's empowered by being on screen and being resentful and vengeful, and the 4D mystics are the worst. This is, yes, okay, let me read. The intermittent reinforcement is more powerful because of this addictive roller coaster ride. Yeah, that's only for a person who has no relationship here. So when you have a good, empowered, no, it's a good embodied self-awareness. That's right. So restorative embodied self-awareness. This is what you can have if you move towards doing personal development or good therapy. Some people, I don't want to do personal development, I want life now. And they actually think they're empowered, versus noticing that their emotions sound like a teenager with a 3-year-old, which is exactly what's going on. So we don't have people in their prefrontal cortex. We have people with their limbic system like this. Alert, 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 and their amygdala's all over it, and they in fact are using that energy, which, as I was saying, anger, or maybe it was in the other one, anger dumbs you down, because when you're getting angry, the hippocampus is going to get saturated with cortisol. And I remember getting foggy when I'd get angry, and I'd be like, you know what, if I'm going to negotiate, because I chose politics as my bachelor's and then my master's, I said I need to not have this fogginess come up, because I already am bad with data right here. I forget things, and I just stopped, because that's how easy it is to keep your prefrontal cortex down when you know people aren't a threat because they have no weapon in their hand. So learning how to be in a secure attachment, prefrontal cortex, it's by repetition. In fact, the same lovely avoidant attachment coach, he spells out something that I actually knew. When you ask yourself, how do you respond or react to an event, and then you say, you know what, I consistently do this thing, I'm going to work on that, and that's going to happen to help create new automatic behaviors, which you try not to be automatic when you're a 5D mystic, and in fact, that's why you're flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable, and always online, which is why enlightenment and soul age is very possible, as well as being in that vibration, because it's all about you in the oxytocin gene hormone. That means you love who you are, how to be. And so yes, when an avoidant chooses toxic partner, we will feel bad for them. We will not be chasing them. We will not be telling them, you know, I think you chose somebody who's treating you a bit like shit, don't you think? No, we're not going to do any of that. And we're not going to be thinking we know how to lead their life better. No, because you see, compersion again means I'm happy for you. So if you're going to be in this, what is it, the roller coaster ride, ups and downs, addicted to somebody who is emotionally unavailable, because that is what you deserve, since you have a shame defectiveness cycle and you don't go to good therapy, and you don't say, you know what, how did I respond or act in this situation with this human being who just speaking to me? They're not shaming me, blaming me, faulting me. They're having what is an actual conversation. They're not a wild woman who's actually taking me and humiliating me. No, they're upset. And I'm pretty sure that there's a reason. Let me go and figure that one out. So yeah, a empowered woman will not be trying to figure anything out about a man who goes to toxic women. It will be more of, okay, in 2024, we know that you have avoidant or avoidant fearful attachment style. The ones who have what is the anxious are pretty clear too. And when they don't notice, how did I respond? Can I create a new habit? That's number one. So no self-awareness, no empowered self-awareness for sure, and definitely no emotional maturity, accountability. No, there's just the projection of it. And so they will consistently do that if, on the other hand, they take their own self seriously and they start self-reflection. Guess what it does? Consistent change. So this behavior of the maladaptive child results in a change of mood and emotions. That's because you're moving out of your survival mode. What people don't understand is that love is in your higher social engagement system when you're good to be yourself, while when you have insecurities and you're a consistent teenager, you're in your modulated embodied self, which is sympathetic. So you're going to have all of these chemistries that are not anywhere comparable to blissfulness when you're in healthy self-relationships with men. It's really nice, by the way. So yeah, we won't be telling anybody about their partner because we also know they're going to actually defend that partner because they're codependent. There's a whole bunch of things we'll talk about. Tune in.